Yeah, I've listened to recordings 3 times because
Probably 3 times. Yeah, 3 times.
I'm listening to understand. I'm listening just to listen.
I feel like this when I made this, it was just something that I felt that
The good, like a good and a
was
bad.
a part of me.
Perhaps
It was my inner struggle of, or maybe it's our inner struggle of
I don't think it was my
those are
personal
female
life.
eyes.
It was my personal darkness.
The grin is, of course, the mischievous darkness and light, I guess. Dark.
There's been a light from a higher
And, of course, we got the halo. At that time, I felt like I was
lighter. It's
1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was basically dancing in between the two of them.
a lot of what you said really vibed with some of the thoughts that I had today, which may have been of darker nature, but they were still illuminated by my own personal light. Sometimes we have these darker thoughts, and we have to kind of experience them to understand, that other side of us that a lot of us turn our backs on and just want to cascade light to hopefully blind them out. But that doesn't make anybody shine brighter. It just kind of dims that light. So, yeah, I think I get what this picture means on some kind of deep intuitive level.
But it's funny because I used to say that there must be a balance and that we should strive to understand and maybe use our dark side, this and that. And I truly believe that, but I don't believe that now.
And it's weird how the mind just doesn't want to focus at times. Like it gets lost in everything else. Like it gets
You
lost
said
in
this.
everything
This
else.
came from you. Like
And
this is your
I think
feeling.
that's what
Like this isn't
begins
anything
to
else.
create
Stop overthinking it.
the chaos and the thoughts
And
the
that's when I guess we gotta use
overanalyzing
50-50.
it's hard to follow the heart.
Listen to our heart and also listen to our brain. Balance it out. The mind, the heart, the mind, the mind, the heart, the mind, the mind, the heart, the mind, the mind, the heart, the mind.
It's just so easy to get distracted. I still feel strongly that decisions need to be made with both, because there's been times my heart has made horrible decisions where the mind was telling it the whole time, this is going to go horribly wrong. Yet there's been other times where the mind was telling me to make
just go with your
decisions
gut.
where the heart was saying,
Your heart,
no, you don't want to
what
do
is it
that.
you feel is truly I wouldn't say truth, maybe, or real. Like, was that your light, or was it someone else's light? What do you feel? I tend to, it's easier to preach, go with your heart, but which is something that I kind of don't really do. I tend to look at things from I think that I feel like I tend to overanalyze, and I should just, go with my instinct, and that pretty much would solve a lot of this overanalyzation. It's something that I realized, actually. I think I told you. I was like, I feel like I should listen more to my...
So it's weird to just kind of go off of one or the other. But there's been many times, too, where I should have just listened to my instincts. And it's really difficult to find balance between those three things. It's not just two, it's like finding balance between three. But you can make a cup out of 3 parts. You have 1/3, 2/3, and then you have a cup. So there has to be something there. And this, I know that makes no sense. And it doesn't even seem like spiritual anything. It's just a fragmented thought that's on a lower level.
It's kind of just being, it's like something's hoping for you to build upon these thoughts. Kind of, to me, from my experience, it feels like seeds.
like that microcosm of. But most of my ideas, some sort of aren't even of me. They're other people's ideas that then kind of collaborated within my mind and became an idea spoken through me. But was it mine ever? But then it makes me wonder, was it ever anybody else's? So if that's the case, where did it come from?
Because I've had them before too. And I've also had feelings too where I'm like, hold up, why am I feeling this way? This isn't
something
me.
Larger than us?
Kind of goes away.
It's interesting to humble about.
I'm coming across information, like the older information that I don't tend to use kind of just goes and gets pushed to the back of my brain. And
what if nothing's original?
These thoughts or opinions or whatever it is that I'm voicing might not even be mine to like, I'm pretty sure they're coming from me, but like, you know, this idea I don't believe is something that I created. It's just something that I'm recycling, that I'm putting forth out there. What do they say? There's nothing new under the sun, nothing old under the moon.
And I said to, I think it was my mom, I felt liberated today because I ran out after curfew to go look at the moon because the moon was in my moon sign. And it illuminated my soul. And then she said something about that the moon drew me out there to allow me to bask in its light so it could take me away. And I said to her, well, since it's the moon's light, I guess I'll be back in 30 days, because every 30 days is the moon cycle. So I don't know what that exactly meant, but it sounded really poetic. I didn't mean to curse. I cursed. I'm sorry.
Remember me.
Like, I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking to myself, wrong one. And I'm like, well, where is that thought coming from? Like, why am I thinking wrong one? What is wrong one? Like, I mean, it triggers my mind off.
Remember me.
To several different scenarios that I experienced during the day. But why? Why right now does the thought wrong one come into my head? And then there was another thought right before that that was, remember me. Remember who? Remember what? Remember myself?
Do you ever ignore them? You ever repeat the words and keep repeating them until it sounds like wrong one? Wrong one.
It's weird. I was thinking it sounds so much better when somebody else says it. Like when you were just saying it repetitively in its own little tune, it was so much more comforting than when it seems to be entering my mind. And it's like, it's not just that there's a voice that I hear. There seems to be a frequency with it. There seems to be a vibration. I don't know where these things pop in at. And it sounds so schizophrenic. And certain phrases and certain thoughts come through at different areas. And I used to feel highly connected to certain people where I felt it also like it was coming from outside of me and entering telepathic. And to the point that I would say to these people, like, hey, were you thinking of me? Because of an entry point, it seems as though that's where you are received at. And of course, nobody ever wants to humor it. It's just one of those things I think that's too out there for certain minds to actually comprehend. And this is why, like, I think certain professions and people are at lower vibrations than others, and certain things will say, just because I made mention of schizophrenia, like, in one reality, at a lower level vibration, schizophrenia is an illness because it's vibrating too low and the person's vibrating too low that they don't understand that, hey, this is something more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before I
started habitually tripping on acid, I never really accepted the fact that the, like I said, in one reality, schizophrenia is looked at as a lower vibration because people are not aware that, I forgot the other part, but I just always felt like psychologists, which have done an amazing job of creating their own reality in terms of how to look at, I guess, schizophrenia or bipolar, things like that. I feel like they're trying to understand something from that needs to be looked at with a different pair of lenses, more of a metaphysical thing, or perhaps they need to incorporate both. As the theme seems to be balance. We learn from the psychology, and then what we learn from being or learning more about spirituality or whatever term, metaphysical, whatever term, you get what I'm saying. When I started dropping acid and eating shrooms and this and that, I was noticing a lot of parallels. You hear the voices, or you might see images and like in the wall. You can look at a wall and you can immediately make out a face, and there's an image on my bathroom floor that I always see now that I can't unsee that I've never seen before, and it's two of them. And there was another one in the painting that I had too that I could see. Every time I look at it, I know I'm like, okay, that's that image that the only reason I was aware of it is because I was on acid. Psychology is just, they created their own reality, and the reason that this reality works is because it makes sense logically. It's they come up with the examples, but at the same time, you can make even false things make sense. And I'm not saying psychology is false,
but as a person becomes more spiritually aware and metaphysically aware and
logic and
more conscious that things should be questioned.
And if everyone's just in agreement with psychology,
psychology created their own reality, because that is 100% accurate information based off my understanding of how these formations and structures work. It's psychology is a reality. There's people who really subscribe to that. They follow the order, they do the work and play the role. In the end, that's what it is. We're all playing a role in some sense based off our experience here and what level we were able to, and I say that all the time, level, what avenue in life we have taken. Sometimes I never know if my avenue is going to take the mountainous trip up and then all of a sudden take the downward slope that's going to land me back into reality. Actually, I don't think I'll ever land back in that reality. I think I have enough knowledge to eventually get right back up that mountain. But I don't know. I can't. I guess I could. I do have control of that because I have awareness of it. Man, I'm going to really start spinning. Because then I look at other people's perspective, and people are like, well, you can't look at other people's opinions of things. Other people's perspective shouldn't affect your reality. But guess what? They do. Because everybody's creating, and these worlds are colliding. And maybe that's the thought that shouldn't be in reality. But I don't know. I feel like I see that side of the veil more often than I like to admit.
Yeah, other people's opinions, perspectives do affect your reality. That's why when two people with different perspectives who live in different realities who don't agree on the same thing, when they collide, they view each other as crazy because I guess not crazy.
And it's one of those things that I would love to say humbles me, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. And I should be there at this point by how many times I was shown that. And It's weird because when I talk like this, I imagine somebody who is on hallucinogens, and I'm really not on anything that's considered a hallucinogen. I take things that are psychoactive, but they're not full-blown hallucinogenic.
What was I gonna say? That's my theory on hallucinogens. Like when I took like acid and then I was taking shrooms, I was like, hold up, time out. Like these people who are like yourself, who are like spiritually open, you guys are on a slow dose of like acid and shrooms. That's what I really think. Like, and that would make sense. But the dose is really small that it you don't really get to see too much of the trippiness.
And like I can relate so much to a lot of the things people like, yourself, and I know other people who take, hallucinogenics and what they say, and I just know like I'm ready for it, but I still have this thought that like, what if it's nothing like I see now and I'm disappointed? I'm hitting that brink now.
If you do end up taking shrooms and or acid, all it's gonna do is enhance or and the reason I say this is because I talked to Lyra. I asked her, I was like, yo, have you ever tried psychedelics? And she said, yeah, they really don't do anything to me. All it really does is make the my vision ultra HD on top of the HD. So it's like you and her are kind of just walking around already on it.
Even though the last few days, all it did, like, with this wormwood and mugwort, like, all it did was really, like, enhance how I already see, and it enhanced that energy coming through my brain, and it enhanced the interconnectedness, and it enhanced the synchronicities. It just, everything felt more enhanced, and there was more clarity behind it.
That I created, it's just something that I'm recycling. So that I'm putting forth out there. I ran across a lot of people who were spiritually open and who really delve into it. But they say there's nothing new under the sun, nothing old under the moon. And I would talk to them, hey, it's what the weed does is just it takes your low dose up, and they're like, oh no, I don't smoke because it makes me like trip and enhances it. And I remember this one guy told me, like, yeah, every time I smoke, like once it's like, I'll be drawing these weird symbols on the wall and stuff. Like, well, weed tends to enhance trips. When you're on acid, it tends to just amplify it. And the reason I asked you if you've ever repeated the word like faster until it sounds like a, not mantra, but it would sound like just like to that point where it's just, you ever sound repeat the words? Do you ever ignore them? Keep repeating them until it sounds like something else?
But I should like sit there and say, you're wrong, 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 over and over again and see what turns up. But it just seems to disappear into something. I think that's why my sense, which is probably better to just laugh at.
It's better for you to occupy yourself.
But can I say that I occupied myself just now? Well, I filmed that recording. So yeah, I guess I did occupy myself. It's a weird thing to think about. But then it's like, do I even want to think about it?
And honestly, I kind of feel the same way too. I lost my train of thought. The reason I asked that is because when I was on acid and I was like, park.
To go look at the moon because the moon was in my moon sign.
I felt like the first
and it illuminated my soul.
I remember I was standing, and my friend was sitting on the bench. I just remember thinking to myself, like, and then I uttered these words. I was like, I laughed. I was like, I like this. I like this a lot. And I was just looking around. I was like, all like with gusto and bravado, and then it hit me. I was like, hold up, time out. That's not really how I really operate. I don't carry myself in that way unless I'm like joking, you know? And then it hit me. I was like, oh snap, and like I pushed that away. It was like something was making an attempt to mess with me. And I remember seeing these purple eyes and like purple lines around me. I don't know if it was something that was messing with me, like a leech, a demon, whatever. But I just remember that I kept repeating my ancestors' name, my great grandma, and Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus. And then I was repeating it fast. Next thing you know, I was just saying it faster and faster to the point it didn't really sound like that. Was just like Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus, Maria de Jesus. It was a lot more
sometimes
fluid than I can do right now.
I never know.
And
I
just remember thinking like, holy shit, like I'm repeating
take the
this phrase over and over
trip
again.
Up, and then
like,
all of a sudden take the downward slope that's going to land me back into reality. Actually, I don't think
felt like the light was getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I kept doing that. So
knowledge to eventually
in retrospect, I look back at it, I was like, I wonder if that has something to do with how people are like, I
felt liberated today because I ran out after curfew.
I completely lost track of the original topic. You know, I just realized you're right. It is, sometimes it's just nonsense. It's, because this is like, my point of view is like demons, right? Of course. Leeches, demons, whatever. They're of a mysterious nature. They just like to mess with people. So every now and then they'll just say things. When I was on acid, I heard it. I heard one of them was just telling me, shut up. And it didn't scare me. I just kind of like, I was like, wow, like, it was actually happening. Clarity. And then I heard one laughing. It was just like laughing. And then it made me laugh because, you know, when someone laughs, it makes you laugh.
Something about...
Your laugh is contagious. And then it just...
That the moon drew me out there.
It's like...
It's allow me to bask in its light so it could take me away. And I said to her, well, since it's the moon's light, I guess I'll be back in 30 days.
I don't know, it's just... Sometimes
every 30 days you
I feel like they're just messing with you. You know,
so I don't know what that exactly meant, but it sounded really poetic. You know what's funny? I haven't even gone back and really listened to any of my messages. Oh, man. I love how, like, when you're talking out loud, but you're talking to somebody else, but you're not actually talking to that person, but you know that there's going to be somebody listening. The way the mind, like, tries its best to stay with a story, and it just keeps spiraling in different directions because there's nothing that's actually catching the conversation. Like, there's that one variable that's missing. I do it all the time. I'll just ramble on and on and on. Well, I don't do this all the time, but you see my videos where I'm just like, I'm looking at a camera and I know the group of people that are going to be watching the videos, so I try to pretend like that whole group of people are there with me. Then I look at other people. This is what I want to relate to. Like, well, you can't look at other people. So in this case scenario, like, I can imagine you sitting there like your reality, but guess what? They do. Tell my story because everybody's dating and these worlds are colliding. It will dawn on me like maybe he's just talking to himself. It's like shouldn't be in reality, but right now. Are we talking? I don't know. I feel like I see that.
I guess we're talking to ourselves and anyone that's willing to listen. Normally I just stay off into the sky. I mean, I feel like this is how actually I speak to myself sometimes when I am talking to myself. I'm usually looking up at the ceiling, like gathering my thoughts. And then when I formulate my opinions, I guess I'll look down, I guess, and then I'll see the person. But
the way that you record your sound text to me is actually apparently at 3:39 in the afternoon. I can't enunciate or speak as well as I can at like 10 p.m. at night.
Oh, only like 3:30 is when you can't speak. I feel like I stumble and fumble my words a lot, but I don't really care. I mean, the point's gonna get across regardless. But that's the second time I said but. Look, see how when we're inadvertently watching my words and shit. Like I'm just curious. The reason I said that, I just used but twice was because in terms of grammar, you're not supposed to use and, like and twice in a sentence or something. And then it just kind of popped in my head. I was like, hey, I used but twice, but then I was like, does that grammar law apply to but just as it does to and? Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about grammar either. Oh, and also I'm glad to hear that you're creative. I wanted to use a different word other than juices, but creative juices are flowing.
Hold on, we're not going to say what you said because that had me cracking up. More creative aesthetics. Is that the word I want to use? Aesthetics? Going. What was I going to say? Crap. It reminds me of Lyro because she was talking about fragments, and you fragmented the conversation, it seems like. And then, like, what I could do later in a creative format is, like, those little fragments are little beads on a string, and I can string them into something else. Like, I can now create.
I feel like once we put something out there, whether it be ideas, thoughts, or we voice our opinions, music, whatever, it's kind of impossible not to save. Because the second you hear it, it's saved in your brain. It's noodling in the back there somewhere doing its thing. I don't know. Hanging out with your deepest, darkest secrets. Who knows, right?
I have another thought. So back to the smile with the halo in the eyes. There's something called the trickster.
Ah, the trickster archetype.
It's like one of the main archetypes that most stories have. It's a character. And I believe that smile is actually connected with that archetype. It's like the Cheshire Cat is considered the trickster in Alice in Wonderland. I'm trying to think of who else is considered a trickster in like major. The Pied Piper, the one that takes the rats to the water in that nursery rhyme. Like that's a trickster archetype. It's a role that people play in life. Just like you have the hero, and there's like a bunch of others.
Yeah, I remember the archetypes. You have one of the archetypes, if I remember correctly, is called the loyal retainer, and those are just like the people that are like loyal to you. Like in the if you ever watched Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter has Hermione and Ron. Those are the loyal retainers.
In traditional stories, there's 12 archetypes, and then there's something called motifs, which are like ongoing storylines that are always presented.
You also have the scenarios, like the beginning, the hero's journey. It's called the hero's journey, I think, and it's like the beginning, tragedy, and it starts from it starts at 12 o'clock. If you're looking at the clock, it starts at the 12 o'clock, and it goes to the 3, then it goes to 6, then it goes to. But in between those numbers, things are being labeled, and at the end, it just goes full circle.
But that smile is part of the trickster archetype. That's where I'm getting at here. I'm not sure where this is going.
I do remember the trickster archetype. It was basically where this whole world is being tricked into thinking that what they think is real.
January of this year, Capricorn.
2 + 2 is 4. Of course, you get 2 things. Yeah, those are 2 things, and it's 4, right?
What planet is in Capricorn? Saturn.
But that's what the trickster wants you to think. What if 2 + 2 is 5?
And it was supposed to indicate the year of the trickster.
And even though our logic makes sense, of course.
So this could all be part of a much larger plan. Why people are noticing that trickster energy that's always kind of been present, but kind of not stating its value. And I think this year is the year for it. And we have to find a way to integrate it into our overall persona and the way we kind of act out in life. This is like, maybe not even that. Like, is it part of acting or is it part of our authentics? It's so hard because it's like, it feels like it's of a lower energy and there's like a more higher spiritual energy. Like this is more of a darker energy that we need to learn.
I think you can use that energy, that trickster energy too, to open people's minds up. You know, you think you're talking to someone about something, when in reality you're trying to lead them into a different perspective, and then you lead them down that trail, and they're like, whoa. They come to the realization of something, and you use the trickster energy to guide someone to a different perspective that is probably more of a suited to them.
Your fifth voice message about how to use the trickster for good. Like, if you listen to that message at the end of it, it's just, you can just tell that was the message I needed to hear based off of, like, whatever reasoning that all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, the trickster, that's right. I forgot from yesterday at, like, 11 a.m. in the morning when this came up in a conversation with somebody else, like, that I realized, like, right now that I needed to message you about that. But when you listen to your voice and the way you're talking and you compare it to the other ones, you can see, like, we hit the brink or some kind of purpose. The energy's just shifted. And to me, the sign that's in the background of your video, your voice message is you hear birds.
Yeah, I just went back to listen to it. I didn't even notice that. Yo, that's crazy. I remember I was like, what was I saying? I said something. I was like, and then I was like, maybe, and I was thinking of how to, like, phrase it. So I paused. And then you hear the birds chirping. Like, yeah.
All of a sudden there's birds chirping. And it's weird because if you listen in the background of mine right now, there's fucking sirens going off, dude. This is intense, and this is beautiful.
Before you even said sirens, I was already hearing them. I was like, oh.
And
he's like, yeah, we're hearing sirens.
Emerging in. And I fucking love every moment of it.
I think you can use that energy, that trickster energy, too, to open people's minds up. 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 Open people's minds up.